The galaxy was old. Older than most species could comprehend. Across 1,000,000 stars, civilizations rose and fell like waves on an endless ocean. Empires expanded. Wars erupted. Peace treaties were signed and broken. But through all the chaos, through all the conflict, one rule remained constant. Never disturb the humans. It was not written in any official treaty. No council had voted on it. No emperor had declared it law. Yet every species knew it. From the towering Vexor warriors with their 4 arms and battle armor, to the crystalline luminari who sang instead of spoke, everyone whispered the same warning. Stay away from Earth. Stay away from the Sol system. Stay away from the humans. The rule was so old that no one remembered where it came from. Some said it began with the Kroth Empire, a mighty civilization that had ruled half the galaxy 10,000 years ago. The Kroth had been unstoppable, crushing worlds beneath their fleets. But one day they vanished. Every ship, every soldier, every world they controlled simply went silent. The last transmission from their capital ship carried only 3 words: the humans awoke. Others believed the warning came from the Etherians, a race of scholars who had mapped every corner of known space. Their archives were vast, containing knowledge from 1 billion years of history. But every record that mentioned humans was marked with black symbols. Symbols that meant forbidden. Symbols that meant death. Whatever the truth, the rule spread. Generation after generation, empire after empire, the warning passed down. Do not search for them. Do not call to them. Do not enter their system. Even the most violent warlords, those who burned entire planets for sport, avoided the Sol system. It sat alone in space like a cursed tomb. Ships would pass light years away but never closer. Traders would mark it on their maps with red warnings. Children were told stories of the sleeping giants who must never be disturbed. But fear fades with time. New empires rise. New leaders emerge. They hear the old stories and they laugh. They call it superstition. They call it weakness. They believe themselves stronger than those who came before. And when arrogance grows too loud, someone always decides to test the rule. This time it was the Zathran collective. The Zathran were a proud species, tall and elegant with silver skin that shimmered in starlight. Their empire stretched across 300 star systems. They commanded fleets of 1,000 ships. Their technology was advanced beyond most civilizations. They believed the galaxy belonged to them. When their long-range scouts detected old human satellites drifting at the edge of Sol, the collective's high council gathered in their crystal tower on Zathro's prime. The council chamber was massive, with walls that glowed soft blue and floors like mirrors. 12 council members sat in a circle, their robes flowing like water. Council leader Vexen stood first. His voice was smooth and confident. We have found proof. The humans are gone. Their system is dead. Empty. These satellites are relics. Nothing more. Another council member, Sereth, leaned forward. Her eyes gleamed with ambition. For centuries we have avoided Sol because of ghost stories. But we are the collective. We do not fear shadows. We should enter the system, claim what remains, and prove to the galaxy that the Zathran bow to no myth. Some council members shifted uneasily. Elder Corvin, the oldest among them, spoke with a trembling voice. The archives warn us. Every civilization that approached Sol was destroyed. We should not ignore history. Vexen laughed, a cold sound that echoed through the chamber. History is written by the fearful. The humans are extinct. Their ships are dust. If they were so powerful, where are they now? Why do they not show themselves? The council murmured in agreement. Fear was replaced by pride. Pride was replaced by greed. And greed made the decision easy. Vexen raised his hand. I call for a vote. All who agree to enter Sol and claim its resources rise. One by one, council members stood. Only Elder Corvin remained seated, his head bowed in sorrow. The vote was passed. The order was given. Within days, a fleet was assembled. 50 warships, the pride of the Zathran collective. Battle cruisers with shields that could withstand supernovas. Carriers filled with fighter drones. Destroyers armed with weapons that could shatter moons. Their mission was simple. Enter Sol, scan Earth, and bring back proof that humans were no more. The fleet launched from Zathro's prime with great celebration. Citizens gathered in the streets, cheering as the ships rose into the sky. The council watched from their tower, smiling with satisfaction. But far away in the cold depths of space, something stirred. Something ancient. Something patient. The humans had been waiting. The Zathran fleet moved through space like a silver serpent. 50 ships in perfect formation, their engines burning bright against the darkness. Inside the command ship, the Eternal Dawn, Admiral Theron stood on the bridge watching the stars pass by. He was a veteran warrior, decorated with honors from a dozen campaigns. His silver skin bore scars that told stories of battles won. But today something felt wrong. A coldness in his chest that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. "Admiral," called his second officer, Lyra. "We are approaching the outer edge of Sol system. Estimated arrival at Earth in 6 hours." Theron nodded slowly. "Maintain formation. Keep all scanners active. I want to know if anything moves out there." The crew worked quietly at their stations. Young soldiers eager for glory. They had heard the stories of humans, but like their leaders, they believed them to be myths. How could one species frighten an entire galaxy? It made no sense. As the fleet crossed into Sol's outer boundary, they passed the frozen rocks of the Kuiper Belt. Ice chunks drifted in silence, reflecting starlight like scattered diamonds. The scanners showed nothing unusual. No ships. No weapons. No life. "See." Lieutenant Kress laughed from his station. "Empty. Just like the Council said. The humans are long gone." Others joined his laughter. The tension on the bridge eased slightly. Perhaps the old warnings were truly just stories after all. But then the first anomaly appeared. "Admiral," Lyra called, her voice uncertain. "I'm detecting a strange signal. Very faint. It's not coming from any specific location. It's everywhere." Theron frowned. "What kind of signal?" "Unknown. It's not matching any known communication protocol. It's almost like..." She paused, adjusting her instruments. "It's almost like it's inside our systems." A chill ran through the bridge. Theron stepped closer to her station. "Run a full diagnostic. Check for viruses or intrusion attempts." The crew worked frantically. But every scan came back clean. The systems were functioning perfectly. Yet the signal remained, a whisper in the background of their sensors. As they moved deeper into Sol, passing Neptune's orbit, the signal grew stronger. Not louder, but more present, as if something was watching them. Soldiers who had been laughing now fell silent. Even the bravest among them felt it. "Admiral," called the navigation officer. "We're detecting debris ahead. Old satellites and station fragments. They match human design from our archives." On the main screen, images appeared. Broken pieces of metal floating in the void. Solar panels torn and twisted. Communication arrays long dead. Evidence of a civilization that once thrived here. Theron studied the wreckage carefully. "How old?" "Centuries, sir. Maybe longer. These satellites stopped functioning at least 500 years ago." A murmur spread through the bridge. If the humans had been gone that long, surely the danger was past. Surely they were safe. But then the voice came. It was not spoken through their communications system. It was not transmitted through any device. It simply appeared in their minds. "Quiet. Come. Ancient. Turn back." Every crew member on every ship heard it at once. 50 vessels, thousands of soldiers, all frozen in terror. The voice carried no threat, no anger. Only certainty. Theron grabbed the edge of his command chair, his knuckles white. "Who said that? Where is that transmission coming from?" Lyra's hands shook as she checked her instruments. "Sir, there's no transmission. No signal. Nothing on any frequency. But I heard it too." Across the fleet, panic spread. Captains demanded answers. Engineers checked systems. Soldiers whispered prayers to their gods. But no explanation could be found. Lieutenant Kress, who had laughed earlier, now spoke with a trembling voice. "Admiral, maybe we should consider?" "Silence," Theron snapped. But his own fear was rising. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Theron. We will not be frightened by ghost signals. Continue to Earth. Maintain formation." The fleet pushed forward, though slower now. They passed Uranus, then Saturn with its beautiful rings. Jupiter loomed ahead, massive and swirling with eternal storms. Still they saw nothing. No ships. No weapons. But the voice came again, stronger this time. "You were warned." And then, between Jupiter and Mars, they saw it. At first it looked like a piece of debris. A dark shape drifting in space, old and scarred. But as their scanners focused, the truth became clear. It was a ship. A human warship. Its hull was black as deep space, covered in marks from countless battles. Strange symbols were etched along its sides, glowing faintly with blue light. The ship was huge, larger than any Zathran battlecruiser. And it was moving. Slowly, deliberately, the ancient vessel turned toward the Zathran fleet. Its engines, silent for centuries, began to glow. Weapons systems, forgotten by time, powered to life. On the eternal dawn, Every alarm suddenly screamed at once. Admiral Theron stared at the screen, his heart pounding. His voice came out as barely a whisper. "By the stars, what have we done?" The Zathron fleet hung frozen in space, every crew member staring at their screens in disbelief. The human warship before them defied everything they understood about ancient technology. Ships this old should be dead, powerless husks drifting through the void. But this vessel was alive. Admiral Theron's throat went dry. "Give me a full scan of that ship. Now." Lyra's fingers flew across her console, but the results made no sense. "Sir, our scanners are being blocked. We can only get partial readings. The hull composition is unknown. Energy signatures are off every scale. It's like nothing in our database." "How is it even moving?" Cress whispered. "That design is ancient. It should have fallen apart centuries ago." The human ship drifted closer with impossible grace. Its movements were smooth, calculated, as if it had been waiting for this exact moment. Blue light pulsed along its hull in patterns that seemed almost alive. Theron opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, battle stations. Raise shields. Charge weapons but do not fire unless I give the command." Across the Zathron armada, 50 warships powered their defensive systems. Energy shields shimmered to life. Weapon ports opened like hungry mouths. Thousands of soldiers rushed to their posts, fear and training fighting for control of their minds. The human ship stopped. It hung in space between the Zathron fleet and Mars, silent and still. For a long moment nothing happened. The only sound on the bridge was the nervous breathing of the crew and the soft hum of the ship's systems. Then a transmission came through. Not the voice in their heads this time, but actual communication through their systems. The language was old, one the Zathron had encountered in ancient texts but rarely heard spoken. A human face appeared on the main screen. Male, with dark skin and eyes that seemed to hold centuries of memory. He wore no uniform, no armor. Just simple dark clothing. But the weight of his presence filled every ship in the fleet. "I am Sentinel Commander Marcus Kane," the human said, his voice steady and emotionless. "You have entered Sol System against ancient warnings. You have crossed a line that should never have been crossed. State your purpose." Admiral Theron straightened, trying to regain his composure. "I am Admiral Theron of the Zathron Collective. We came to investigate your system. Our scans showed it was abandoned. We meant no hostility." Kane's expression did not change. "Your intentions are irrelevant. The rule was clear. No species enters this system. Ever. You were warned by your ancestors. You chose to ignore them." "Our ancestors told stories," Theron replied, his voice gaining strength. "Stories of ghosts and myths. We are a modern civilization. We do not bow to ancient fears." For the first time, something flickered in Kane's eyes. Not anger. Something colder. "Then you will learn what your ancestors already knew. You will understand why they feared." Kane made a small gesture with his hand. The transmission ended. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, alarms suddenly screamed. Lyra's station lit up with warnings. "Sir, we're detecting massive power surges throughout the fleet. Our systems are being infiltrated." "What?" Theron spun toward her. "How?" "Our shields are up. Nothing should be able to penetrate our networks." "It's not penetrating, sir. It's already inside. It's like it was always there, just waiting." Across the fleet, chaos erupted. Navigation systems began failing. Weapons locked up. Communications flickered on and off. Ships that had been in perfect formation started drifting off course. "Block it!" Theron roared. "Shut down all external connections. Go to manual control." Engineers worked frantically, but nothing helped. The intrusion was too deep, too complete. It was not attacking their systems. It was simply taking control, as if the Zathron technology was a child's toy in the hands of a master. Then one by one the ships stopped responding entirely. Engines died. Shields collapsed. Lights flickered and went dark. 50 mighty warships, the pride of the Zathron Collective, became nothing more than dead metal floating in space. Only the Eternal Dawn remained operational, though barely. Emergency power kept life support running. The main screen still functioned. But weapons, engines, shields, everything else was gone. Kane's face appeared again on the screen. Behind him, through the window of his ship, Theron could now see something that made his blood turn to ice. More human ships were emerging from hiding. Not one, not 10, but hundreds. They rose from behind asteroids, uncloaked from invisible barriers, emerged from the shadows of planets. Black warships, each one ancient, each one alive with power. They had been there all along. Watching. Waiting. You came seeking proof that humans were extinct, Cain said quietly. You wanted to claim our resources, our worlds. You wanted to prove you were superior. Theron could not speak. His entire body trembled. Cain leaned forward slightly. Now you have your proof. We are not extinct. We never left. We have been here, guarding our home, waiting for the day someone would be foolish enough to test us. Please, Theron finally managed. We will leave. We will go and never return. Yes, Cain agreed. You will leave. But first you will carry a message back to your people. Back to every empire in this galaxy. The human ships began moving, forming a perfect sphere around the helpless Zathran fleet. Cain's eyes burned with ancient fire. The rule was not a myth. It was mercy. Admiral Theron stood helpless on his darkened bridge, watching the human fleet surround them. The Eternal Dawn drifted powerless, its once proud systems reduced to barely functioning life support. Around him, his crew sat frozen at their stations, faces pale with terror. Admiral, Lyra whispered, her voice cracking. What do we do? Theron had no answer. In 30 years of military service, he had faced pirates, rival empires, and cosmic storms. But nothing had prepared him for this. The humans had disabled 50 warships without firing a single shot. They had infiltrated systems protected by the galaxy's best encryption. And they had done it effortlessly. On the main screen, Commander Cain watched them with those ancient, knowing eyes. You wonder how we did this, he said as if reading Theron's thoughts. You wonder how ships this old possess such power. Theron swallowed hard. Yes. Then I will show you. Consider it part of the message you will carry home. Cain gestured again. This time, one of the human warships moved forward. It was smaller than the others, sleeker, with lines that seemed to flow like water. As it approached, panels along its hull began to open, revealing a soft golden glow from within. What is that? Lieutenant Kress breathed. The human ship stopped just a few hundred meters from the Eternal Dawn. The golden light grew brighter, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Then, before the Zathran's eyes, the ship began to change. Metal flowed like liquid. The hull reshaped itself, components rearranging in ways that violated every law of physics the Zathran understood. In seconds, the sleek warship had transformed into something entirely different. A massive cannon, aimed directly at a nearby asteroid. The golden light concentrated at the cannon's barrel. There was no sound in space, but somehow everyone felt the buildup of impossible energy. Then it fired. The beam was thin, precise, barely visible. It struck the asteroid, a chunk of rock and ice the size of a small moon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the asteroid simply ceased to exist. Not shattered, not vaporized. One instant it was there, the next it was gone, as if it had been erased from reality itself. The Zathran crew gasped in horror. Lyra's instruments went wild with readings she could not comprehend. That's impossible. The energy required for that would need to drain an entire star. Your science is limited by your understanding, Cain said. We do not drain stars. We do not need to. We learned long ago to touch the fabric of space itself, to bend it, to shape it. What you call impossible we call Tuesday. The transformed ship flowed back into its original form, rejoining the fleet as if nothing had happened. Theron felt his legs weaken. What? Why show us this? Because your people need to understand. The rule was not created to hide our weakness. It was created to prevent your extinction. Every species that has ignored the warning has faced the same choice: leave or be removed. The Kroth Empire, Theron whispered, remembering the legends. 10,000 years ago. They vanished overnight. That was you. Cain nodded slowly. They sent a war fleet of 5,000 ships to conquer Earth. They believed themselves unstoppable. We gave them one chance to retreat. They refused. So we removed them. Every ship, every colony, every trace of their empire. Gone in a single day. But that would require... Lyra's voice trailed off as the implications hit her. You would have needed to attack hundreds of worlds simultaneously. Across thousands of light years. That's impossible by your standards. Yes. Cain's expression remained neutral. The Etherians understood this. They were wise. They studied us, learned what we were capable of, and then they sealed all records. They knew that if future generations learned the truth, some would try to challenge us. Some would see power and want to claim it. He paused, letting his words sink in. The Etherians protected you. For 10 millennia, their warnings kept the galaxy safe from its own arrogance. But knowledge fades. Fear diminishes. And now, you Zathran have forced us to teach the lesson again. Theron's mind raced. If what Kane said was true, if the humans could truly eliminate entire empires in days, then the Zathron collective stood on the edge of annihilation. His 50 ships were nothing. His empire's entire military would be nothing. "What do you want from us?" he asked, his voice hollow. "Only what we have always wanted. To be left alone. We did not ask to be part of your galactic conflicts. We did not seek your wars or your politics. We chose isolation. We chose peace. But we will defend that choice with everything we have." Kane leaned back in his chair. "Your fleet is disabled but intact. Your crews are alive. This is mercy, Admiral. This is the only warning your people will receive. Return to Zathro's prime. Tell your council what you witnessed. Tell them the humans are not extinct. Tell them the rule stands now and forever." "And if the council does not listen?" Theron asked, though he already knew the answer. Kane's eyes grew cold. "Then the Zathron collective will join the Kroth Empire in history's forgotten pages. We will not give a third warning." The transmission ended. Slowly, power began returning to the Zathron ships. Engines flickered to life. Navigation systems rebooted. The humans were releasing them, giving them back control. But the message was clear. This freedom was a gift, not a right. Theron collapsed into his command chair, suddenly feeling every year of his age. Around him, his crew sat in stunned silence. They had come seeking glory. They had found something far more terrifying. The truth. The journey back to Zathro's prime felt endless. The Zathron fleet limped through space, their ships functioning but scarred by what they had witnessed. No one spoke unless necessary. The usual chatter and laughter of soldiers was replaced by haunted silence. Admiral Theron spent most of the journey in his quarters, staring at the star maps on his wall. His mind replayed Kane's words over and over. The Kroth Empire, gone in a single day. 5,000 ships, erased like dust. And the humans had barely tried. A knock came at his door. "Enter," he said quietly. Lyra stepped inside, her silver skin pale and drawn. "Sir, we will reach home in 6 hours. The council is demanding a full report the moment we arrive." Theron nodded slowly. "Of course they are. They sent us to prove the humans were extinct. Instead, we proved they are gods." "Not gods," Lyra said softly. "Just far beyond us." "Sir, what will you tell the council?" "The truth. Every word of it. And I will pray they have the wisdom to listen." But deep inside, Theron doubted they would. The council had built their power on pride and certainty. Admitting they were wrong, admitting they had nearly destroyed their entire civilization, would shatter that foundation. When the fleet finally emerged from faster-than-light travel above Zathro's prime, the planet gleamed below them like a jewel. Silver cities sprawled across blue oceans. Millions of citizens going about their lives, unaware how close they had come to extinction. The council demanded Theron's presence immediately. No time to rest, no time to prepare. He took a shuttle down to the Crystal Tower, his heart heavy with dread. The council chamber was exactly as he remembered. 12 members in their flowing robes, sitting in their perfect circle. But now, instead of confidence, Theron saw only arrogance in their faces. Council leader Vexen stood, his expression eager. "Admiral Theron. Welcome home. We have been waiting anxiously for your report. What did you find in Sol? What proof did you bring of the humans' extinction?" Theron took a deep breath. "Council leader, I bring no such proof. The humans are not extinct. They were never extinct. They were waiting." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Several council members leaned forward, disbelief on their faces. Sereth stood, her voice sharp. "Waiting? Admiral, we sent you with 50 warships. Surely you encountered nothing you could not handle." "We encountered a force beyond anything we could handle," Theron said firmly. "The humans disabled our entire fleet without firing a weapon. They demonstrated technology that makes ours look primitive. And they gave us a message to bring back." Vexen's expression darkened. "What message?" "That the rule stands. That we must never enter their system again. That if we do, they will not show mercy a second time." Laughter rippled through the council. Vexen shook his head, smiling coldly. "Admiral, are you telling us that you, a decorated warrior, retreated from ghosts and shadows? That you let ancient stories frighten you into submission?" Theron's jaw tightened. "I am telling you that I watched a single human ship erase an asteroid the size of a moon. I am telling you that they infiltrated all 50 of our vessels simultaneously, through shields and encryption we believed impenetrable. I am telling you that Commander Kane himself told me they destroyed the Kroth Empire in a single day." "The Kroth were weak," Sereth scoffed. "We are not. The Kroth controlled half the galaxy." Theron's voice rose despite himself. They were the most powerful empire in known history. And the humans erased them as if they were nothing. Elder Corvin, who had voted against the mission, finally spoke. His voice was quiet but carried weight. I warned you. I told you the archive spoke of danger. But you did not listen. Vexen turned on him. You are an old fool, clinging to ancient superstitions. The humans are one species. We can rally the entire galaxy against them. Build an alliance. Attack with overwhelming force. And how many billions will die? Corvin asked. How many worlds will burn before you admit the truth? The council chamber fell silent. Theron saw the moment clearly. Half the council was beginning to understand the danger. The other half still clung to pride, unwilling to accept what they had unleashed. Vexen's eyes narrowed. Admiral Theron, you are relieved of command. Clearly this mission has broken your nerve. We will send another fleet, a larger one, and this time we will not run from shadows. Theron felt his blood run cold. Council leader, I beg you to reconsider. Another attack will doom us all. Enough, Vexen snapped. This council will not bow to threats. Guards, escort the admiral out. As Zathran soldiers took Theron's arms, he looked at each council member in turn. When the humans come, and they will come if you proceed, remember this moment. Remember that you were warned. Remember that you chose this path. Vexen turned away dismissively. Take him. As Theron was led from the chamber, he heard the council already debating their next move. Building a larger fleet. Seeking allies. Preparing for war. They had learned nothing. Outside the crystal tower, Theron stood in the fading light, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, in the direction of Sol, the humans were watching. They would see the Zathran building another fleet. They would know the council had ignored the warning. And then they would act. Theron whispered a prayer for his people, knowing it would not be enough. The Zathran collective had sealed its fate. Not through battle, not through conquest, but through the one thing humanity would never forgive. Arrogance. The galaxy was about to learn its lesson. And Theron knew the price would be written in blood and ash. 3 months passed. The Zathran Council worked tirelessly, building the largest fleet their civilization had ever assembled. 200 warships, each more advanced than those sent with Admiral Theron. They called allies from across the galaxy, promising glory and treasure from the conquest of Sol. Some empires joined them. Young, ambitious civilizations eager to prove themselves. But the older empires, those who remembered the ancient warnings, refused. The Velen Union sealed their borders. The Etherian archives went silent. Even the scattered Exaran clans fled to distant stars. The wise knew what was coming. Admiral Theron watched from his home on the outskirts of the capital. Stripped of his rank, branded a coward, he could only witness his people march toward destruction. Each night, he looked toward Sol and wondered how long humanity's patience would last. The answer came on a quiet morning. Theron woke to sirens. Red emergency lights flooded the city. His communication device buzzed with frantic messages. He activated his home's display screen and felt his heart stop. Human ships had appeared above Zathro's prime. Not hundreds. Thousands. They filled the sky like a swarm of dark stars, their black hulls blocking out the sun. The entire Zathran defense fleet, 200 ships preparing to launch their attack, stood frozen in orbit, completely surrounded. The planetary defense systems tried to activate. Every weapon, every shield, every military installation powered up for battle. Then, in perfect synchronization, everything shut down. Planetary shields collapsed. Orbital cannons went dark. Communication networks failed. The humans had taken control of everything. On the main display screen visible across every city on Zathro's prime, Commander Kane's face appeared. His expression was no longer neutral. It was carved from stone, cold and absolute. People of the Zathran Collective. 3 months ago we gave your leaders a warning. We asked only to be left in peace. We demonstrated our power. We showed mercy. Kane paused, his eyes seeming to look directly at every citizen watching. Your council ignored our warning. They built a larger fleet. They sought allies. They prepared for war. They believed that numbers would overcome wisdom. They were wrong. Across Zathro's prime, millions watched in terror. In the Crystal Tower, the council members scrambled uselessly at their dead consoles, their arrogance finally giving way to fear. We did not want this, Kane continued. For 10,000 years, we asked only to be forgotten. We sought no conquest, no glory, no expansion. We wanted peace. But you would not grant us that simple request. High above the planet, the human fleet began to move. Not attacking, but repositioning with perfect precision. They formed patterns in the sky, geometric shapes that hurt to look at, as if they were bending space itself. What you see above you is not our military. This is not our war fleet. These are simply the guardians of soul, the watchers who ensure our home remains safe. Our true capabilities you will never see. Because if we deployed them, there would be nothing left to see. In his home, Theron fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He had tried to warn them. He had begged them to listen. Kane's voice grew harder. Your fleet is disabled. Your defenses are gone. We could erase your civilization in moments. Every city, every colony, every ship. Gone like the Croft before you. That is what you chose when you ignored our mercy. The sky above Zathro's prime began to glow. The human ships were charging their weapons not to fire but to demonstrate. Energy built in the atmosphere, crackling with barely contained power. Children cried. Adults prayed. The council members in their tower finally understood the enormity of their mistake. But we will not destroy you today, Kane said, and the entire planet seemed to exhale in relief. Not because you deserve mercy, but because the galaxy needs to remember this lesson. You will live so others might learn from your failure. The glow in the sky faded. The human ships began to withdraw, but slowly, deliberately, making sure everyone understood they were choosing to leave. Your fleet is dismantled. Your weapons are disabled. They will remain so for 1 full year. During that time you will be defenseless. If any other empire chooses to attack you, we will not intervene. That is your punishment. You sought to prove your strength. Now you will experience weakness. Kane leaned forward, his final words echoing across the planet. Rebuild your civilization with humility. Teach your children the truth. The humans are not your enemies, but we are not your friends. We are the line you do not cross. We are the rule you do not break. Remember this day. Remember what mercy looks like. Because you will never receive it again. The transmission ended. The human fleet vanished, disappearing into the void as silently as they had come. On Zathro's prime, Council Leader Vexen collapsed in his chamber, his reign over. The empire he had nearly destroyed would take generations to rebuild trust with the galaxy. Theron stood in his doorway watching citizens emerge from their homes, staring at the empty sky where the human fleet had been. Fear had replaced arrogance. Humility had replaced pride. The lesson had been taught. Across the galaxy, every empire received the same message. A simple recording of what had transpired above Zathro's prime. The images spread like wildfire. Billions watched the human fleet appear and disappear. Billions heard Kane's words. The ancient rule was reaffirmed. The warnings were renewed. And this time the galaxy listened. In the Velen Union, the council breathed in relief, grateful they had refused the Zathrans' call to war. The Etherian archivists unsealed their records, adding new entries about humanity's mercy and power. The Exaran clans returned from hiding, whispering prayers of thanks they had fled in time. Even the youngest civilizations, those who had laughed at the old stories, now fell silent. The humans were real. The humans were powerful. And the humans demanded only one thing: to be left alone. On Earth, in the command center deep beneath the surface, Commander Kane stood before a massive window looking out at the stars. Around him, other Sentinel commanders gathered, their faces reflecting the weight of what they had done. Do you think they learned? One asked. Kane was quiet for a long moment. Some did. Others will need more time. But the message is clear now. The galaxy knows we are here. They know what we can do. And if they forget again? Another asked. If another empire rises and tests us? Kane's expression hardened. Then we will remind them. As many times as necessary. For as long as it takes. Humanity chose isolation. We chose peace. But we will defend that choice against any threat, any challenge, any empire that believes itself above the ancient rule. He turned to face the others, his eyes burning with determination. We are the guardians of soul. We are the watchers in the dark. We are the line that shall not be crossed. And we will hold that line for as long as stars burn in the sky. The other commanders nodded in agreement. They had been given a sacred duty, passed down through generations. To protect humanity's home. To ensure that the choice for peace remained possible. Outside, the black warships returned to their silent vigil. Some nestled into asteroid fields. Others cloaked behind planetary rings. A few drifted in the